Hey, so welcome back to another one, you guys. If you were new to the channel, my name is Andrew with Younger Nissan in Frederick, Maryland. For more information on our inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So today we're in the brand new 2026 Tesla Model Y because we just got this one in on trade. So if you are interested, please feel free to check out youngernissan.com. This one only has like what, 4,000 or 5,000 miles, something like that. So save yourself a little bit of money. Don't get the new one, get the used one that we have here. But wanted to check this one out because this one has been redesigned for 2026. You got newer, nicer interior materials as well. This was actually quicker for 2026 as well. So ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, all that fun stuff. So having said all that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so there's essentially two different configurations for the 2026 Model Y. You got the long range rear wheel drive that's going to start at $46,630. Then you got the long range all wheel drive, which is the one that we have with us here today. That one goes for $50,630. But regardless of the configuration that you go with, the power plant is going to be the same. Powering the Model Y will be dual electric motors, putting out a combined 397 horsepower, 389 pound-feet of torque. That power is going to be sent to all four wheels, in our case at least, or the rear wheels. 0 to 60 time is going to come in at approximately 3.9 seconds as tested by Car and Driver. That's substantially quicker than last year. Top speed, if you're interested, 125 miles per hour, with the range coming in at 357 miles for the rear wheel drive, 327 then for the all-wheel drive. 10 to 80% charge can be had in only 27 minutes. If you wanted to get 182 miles of range, that can be had in only 15 minutes. That's what I'm talking about. It's getting so much better. Mobile charger, of course, is going to be included. Home charger is going to be $420 plus installation if you were interested in installing one of those in your garage or whatever. But so now, before we do any kind of fun acceleration test here in the Model Y, I did want to mention to you guys the drive modes. And so obviously everything is accessed through this massive infotainment screen. I'll be touching on that a little bit later in the video, but drive modes essentially include chill, standard, and sport, essentially giving you either a smooth or a quicker acceleration, more or less. There's also some steering feel settings as well, and of course you got the full self-driving capability. That is an option that goes for $8,000 if you wanted that, and I love that that is an option. And I know it's absolutely wonderful on Tesla because there's so many older people that still want to get out and about. And I'm being honest here, like, I feel for the older people that are unable to drive, because we're all going to be there one day, and full self-driving gives you that ability, or for people with special needs as well. So 100% thank you, Elon, for doing that. I hope every single manufacturer gets that full self-driving capability to all their vehicles in the future. But now that we got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put this acceleration here to the test, and let's see how quickly we can get our new 2026 Tesla Model Y here up to speed. All right, got our somewhat straightaway here in 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, ow. Gosh, man. Yeah, baby. I love this car. That's a heck of a lot quicker than the Nissan Ariya I got done reviewing last week. This thing's bonkers when it comes to acceleration. That is awesome, dude. That instant torque just pins you in the back of your seat, man. You can feel it in your gut. That's the kind of acceleration I wish every single car had. These electric cars are just absolutely insane, man. I've been reviewing for cars for like 11 years now, so that is cool. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. So up front, you will find 14-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 13.2-inch solid rear discs. As far as that 60-0 stopping distance goes, that comes in at 120 feet, which is plenty respectable. Having said that, there is a full one-pedal driving mode, essentially, and that is what I have it in. And you can actually adjust that braking feel to have, it's called reduced deceleration. So it's more of like a regular kind of car, where you actually have to hit the brakes. But I don't like hitting the brakes, because if you don't hit the brakes, you actually get less wear on your brake pads and your rotors, so you don't have to worry about things like changing the brake pads or resurfacing the rotors or changing the brake rotors in general. So it's going to save you some money by leaving it in that one pedal drive mode, which I absolutely love. And with the Tesla Model Y, unlike a lot of other EVs, this one actually does bring you to a complete stop if you wanted it to. So it doesn't just come to like a rolling stop at like 3 or 4 miles per hour and keep on going. It comes to a complete stop. So that is pretty darn cool. I'm a big fan of the braking here in the Model Y. And if you did have to use the brakes, it's definitely a firm braking feel. I wanted to mention that because this thing instantly brings you to a stop. It's pretty wild. But anyways, they're touching on suspension and handling. Tesla does claim for 2026, you get a smoother and quieter suspension for this year, according to them at least. As far as ride quality goes, it's been okay. It's been perfectly fine in my short little test drive here today. Having said that, it's not as smooth as some of the competition. Like, I'm comparing it in my head to the Hyundai Ioniq 9 I got done driving a couple weeks ago, because that one had an adaptive damping suspension, which I think would do absolutely wonderful here in the Model Y. If Elon were to throw an adaptive damping suspension on this thing, maybe they'll bring a performance model back for this particular generation and they'll add an adaptive damping suspension to that particular model possibly, because that really does smoothen the ride pretty substantially. It also increases the quartering abilities as well because it is adaptive, but you really notice it with the ride quality. Having said that, the ride quality is not bad here. It's just not as good as like a Hyundai Ioniq 9 or something like that. But did want to mention that. As far as steering feel goes, now that's something that Tesla has always crushed it at. It's definitely weighted on the heavier side of things, instantly points you in the direction that you want to go. So massive fan of the steering feel in this thing. As far as cabin noise goes, now Tesla has claimed they have substantially improved upon the cabin noise for the Model Y, and I think they said it's down to 66 decibels, which is absolutely brilliant. That's the exact same thing as the Hyundai Ioniq 9 as well, which is also extremely quiet. And part of the reason is because you do get acoustic laminated glass all the way around. So 306 degrees worth of acoustic laminated glass, which is absolutely ridiculous. I'm driving 25 miles per hour right now. I'll let you guys listen. It's very quiet. It's absolutely amazing. So they did an absolutely wonderful job with that. Then touching on rear visibility, this is kind of the first thing I noticed. Maybe it's because there's such a massive windshield, is this rear view mirror looks so dinky for whatever reason, but it is a frameless rear view mirror, so I am a big fan of that. Not the very best visibility out there compared to some of the competition, but it gets the job done. And just like a Camaro owner or 350 or 370Z owner will tell you, you do get used to the rear visibility. So I don't think it's that big of a deal to me. So I'd be perfectly fine with that. And then touching on forward visibility a little bit, rain sensing windshield wipers do come standard on the Model Y. So whenever this thing detects any kind of mist or rainfall, it's going to automatically turn on those windshield wipers for you. So just one less thing you got to worry about there. But that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review. And by the way, to put this thing in like drive and reverse, you swipe it back for reverse. If you're familiar with Tesla, you already know this, but to put it in drive, you swipe it forward for drive, and then you just tap it for park. So that's kind of cool too. But that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, you guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of a redesigned 2026 Tesla Model Y. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2026 Tesla Model Y out here in the woods somewhere. But as always, let's go ahead and start with where the Model Y is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the number 7, indicating that the Model Y is built and assembled here in the US, as expected and as it should be. So starting up front, again, this one has been completely redesigned for 2026. You have Cybertruck style LED headlights that just turned off on me. They do come standard, adaptive headlights as well. So that essentially helps reduce glare for other drivers by dimming the individual pixels in the high beams when approaching traffic is detected. So that is pretty darn cool. You also get the cornering function with these headlights. So when you're going around a bend at night, headlights are going to swivel based on the direction of your steering angle, better help illuminating what is around that bend, so you're less likely to hit a deer or a Sasquatch or an alien or whatever the case. So I do like that as well. LED daytime running lights are going to be up top, of course, and the headlights themselves are going to be down below, in case you were curious about the setup there. There is also a new front camera system. You guys can see that down there as well. That's another little addition that they changed up a little bit. But anyways, let me know what you guys think of the redesign. Some massive front air curtains to the bottom corners there as well. I just noticed that, so it's going to help direct air around the wheel and tire combination. But yeah, let me know what you think of the redesign. I think it looks pretty darn cool. But now, let's now go ahead and swing around to the side. All right, zipping out since we are around to the side of the 26 Model Y. Gloss black window surrounds do come standard. Taking a look at the side mirrors, body colored power adjustable side mirrors coming standard. They will be heated and they are power folding actually as well, so that's pretty nice. Gloss black door handles, and they are flush door handles. You got the the camera system found on the front fenders there. That is what that little black accent is. And then taking a look at the wheel setup, there's two different wheel configurations for the 26 Model Y. You get 19-inch cross-flow wheels. That is what you guys are looking at, of course. And then there is an optional wheel set of 20-inch Helix 2.0 wheels. If you do go with that particular wheel configuration, that does subtract 24 miles of range, just to let you guys know because of the bigger wheel size. But anyways, that pretty much rounds out the side profile. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the back. All right, so now since we are around to the back of this one, all the way to the top, typically you're gonna find a shark fin antenna of some sort on just about every vehicle out there, but there is none on the Tesla Model Y. Kind of like what Mercedes-Benz does, I guess. You also kind of have an integrated rear spoiler built into the back end of this one. I think that's pretty cool. That looks good. Redesigned taillights. You got the Tesla lettering spelled out horizontally. Taillights themselves, there's going to be like this illumination up underneath. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you guys in the daytime, but at night it looks pretty stinking cool. And of course the charging port is on the driver's side back here, so it's going to be located right there. You guys probably already knew that if you're familiar with Tesla, but that pretty much rounds out the back end of this one. Let's now go ahead and make our way to the inside of the Model Y. All right, so now since we are around to the back of the Model Y, when it comes to opening that rear lift gate, it is a hands-free power lift gate. That does come standard, so you gotta appreciate that. Of course, there's a button on the lift gate itself to go ahead and open that one up if you wanted to, but also a button to close it then as well. But once opened up, cargo capacity behind that second row comes in at 30.2 cubic feet. If that was not enough space, of course, the rear seats do fold down. That's gonna bump that up to 76 cubic feet. Power reclining rear seats, by the way, which is pretty stinking cool. Tons of storage in the back there. There's like this indented storage underneath of the cargo floor there. That's probably where you're gonna put your charging cables. However, you do have an option up front as well, because up front you will find a frunk. So unlike a lot of other EVs out there where they take up that space with different electrical components and whatnot, you actually do have a ton of space up front as well. So double the cargo capacity, you gotta appreciate that. But then make your way up to the rear legroom. That comes in at 40.5 inches. That's respectable. For reference, I'm even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the rear seats there. There is a rear center armrest with cup holders. That does come standard. You get rear ventilation, of course, back there, and an 8-inch screen to control everything for the rear passengers. I love that. So that 8-inch screen gives you just about everything from your climate control settings, of course, to games. You could play games back there. You could play YouTube back there if you wanted to watch gold painting car reviews or on this particular car. It really does have quite a bit for the rear passengers to control back there. So I was a huge fan of that. But then making our way up to the front seats, power adjustable leatherette seating coming standard, heated and ventilated front seats, of course. Overall, as far as seat comfort goes, it was plenty fine. I definitely did not have any issues with the seat comfort whatsoever. I would have no issues taking this thing on the long road trip as far as the seat comfort goes. Then take a look at the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping, and it looks like some sort of a vegan leather kind of setup. I'm not sure exactly, but it has a nice feel to it, I will say that. It kind of has this flat bottom look to it as well, which I'm a fan of. So steering wheel, plenty fine for me. Now let's go ahead and make our way to the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key. It's a key card in typical Tesla fashion there. You just simply put it on the driver's side door to get in and out of this one, and I'm just placing it right underneath the infotainment screen. That's where I'm storing it, at least, so no issues there for me. As far as the gauges go, I'm going to elaborate on that in a second, because there really isn't a gauge cluster just in front of the driver. Everything is kind of located on that infotainment screen, and that's where you're actually going to see your speed, as well as the other vehicles surrounding you and everything else that you would possibly need while you're driving. So it's an interesting setup. It's a Tesla setup, I guess, and it's a little bit different than traditional vehicles. But let's now go ahead and make our way to overall interior quality, because this is where a lot of the changes came in for 2026. So you get an all new interior for 2026. You get new refined materials. It's a really nice cloth type finish up just behind the infotainment screen here. I like that. Nice texturized silver finish just below that. You have this really, really bright LED ambient lighting. So there's a ton of different colors you can pick when it comes to that ambient lighting. So I'm a big fan of that as well. Nice soft touch materials on the doors as well. It's either a suede or an Alcantara of some sort. Nice carpeting finish found in the door jambs here. I like that as well. Even the power window buttons feel more high quality. So everything has completely changed. The speaker covers also feel nice as well. Just behind the key card, there is an absolute ton of storage. I put my cell phone in here to start because I thought there was going to be like a shelf here. before. I didn't think it was going to be as deep as it was. I feel like my cell phone fell like 10 stories or something. Like, this is a massively deep storage area. You can conceal a lot of stuff in there if you wanted to. Dual cup holders just behind that, and then with the center armrest, there's a decent amount of storage in there, but honestly, the real storage is just in front of those cup holders. It's absolutely insane. But overall, interior quality, 100% perfectly fine. I am a big fan. But let's now go ahead and take a look at the infotainment screen, because this is where a lot of the action happens. This is a new 15.4-inch touchscreen display. It's massive. Bluetooth and audio streaming, get factory navigation system up there. You can control your climate control settings, of course, ambient lighting settings, change the color, adjust the brightness. Just like the rear passenger, you have a ton of games up there. There's actually movies you can watch up there if you wanted to. Of course, YouTube and TikTok and whatnot, stuff like that. Speed and driving information, like I was saying. There's weather information. Your drive mode settings are up there as well. And all of your fun and silly settings, of course, as well. I always like to mention those because I do have a lot of fun in these Teslas when I play around with those. And by the way, the fun and silly settings, what I'm referring to is the icon labeled toy box. That gives you things like whoopee cushion and a light show and boombox and the romance fireplace and Santa mode, which is my personal favorite. Always like that. You could set it on Mars if you wanted to. See? Santa mode. There's a sketch pad up there. You could set it on a rainbow road, which is kind of wild. You can sync the lighting to the radio if you wanted to, sync the ambient lights to music. We're gonna go ahead and set that. That sounds cool. Rave cave, max brightness. Woohoo, your own personal nightclub when parked. Let's do it. So what I'm trying to say is there is a ton of stuff you can play around with this infotainment screen. But anyways, you also got your radio information up there, of course. So when it comes to the sound systems, there's two different setups. If you go with the rear wheel drive, you're gonna get 9 speakers. However, for the 2026 Tesla Model Y, if you go with the all-wheel drive, you're going to get a 16 speaker sound system, and that is the one that we have with us here today. So what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and turn on the radio. Let's see what we got playing this morning, and let's test out the clarity of this one. All right, wanted to put BPM on there because I wanted to see the light show, and it did not disappoint. That was pretty cool. So the bass, essentially, whenever the bass hit, the lights flashed or strobed or whatever you want to call it. So it really is kind of like a nightclub kind of ordeal when you set it on that particular setting. I'm a big fan. That's pretty darn cool. Well done, Tesla, for that. But anyways, last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on the infotainment screen, and again, to put this thing in reverse, you just swipe your finger backwards. You will get a rear view camera coming standard across the board, and of course, pretty much an everything around you camera as well, giving you all the different angles, which as always is going to lead us into safety. And so let me start by mentioning for last year, the Model Y was an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus, has not yet been rated for the 2026 model year, but I would imagine it would probably be the exact same thing, seeing as this car has only gotten better. But front side curtain airbags, of course. In the back you got latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard, forward collision warning, active emergency braking, lane departure avoidance, just to name a few. So plenty of advanced safety as well. But overall, when it comes to my final thoughts here of the 2026 Tesla Model Y, plenty quick. 0 to 60 in 3.9, I think I said. That's insane. The acceleration on really any Tesla was really brilliant. The fact that you can get 182 miles of range in 15 minutes is pretty darn impressive as well. And of course, that's at a Tesla supercharger station. So that's how that's going to work. And that's pretty darn convenient for a road trip because 15 minutes isn't all that bad. The tech is great as well. You got pretty much everything you could possibly imagine and more on this infotainment screen here. Super quiet. 66 decibels is like nothing. So super quiet cabin in this one. And so, but that is about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow Younger Nissan on social media stuff on the screen there. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews and all of our fun YouTube shorts we put on our channel then as well. We do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and we will see you guys all in the next video. Bye.